Hi, I'm Juanita and welcome back to the Knit Guru. Now, what are we making today? We're going to be making this scarf. Now, this scarf's been up on my website for quite some time. It's been up and called the man scarf. I'm not really sure why I called it the man scarf, other than I went through a phase of knitting and designing scarves for men. It sounds crazier than it is, but mostly I was in hospital and there were a lot of people who were looking after me, so I was trying to make scarves that worked with their sort of corporate running around look, and then this one was one that felt like a good idea. So what we've got is a broken rib scarf with a hole in the middle of it. Now, the hole in the middle basically means that it becomes incredibly easy to style. A complete idiot could do it, or you can still throw it around the back and you're not going to lose it. Now, the Wairarapa and Wellington are particularly windy areas. I don't know if you're living in a windy area, but the idea of wearing a scarf and having it blow away completely is a nightmare, particularly after the amount of time it takes to make a scarf. It always feels like, oh, will you make me a scarf? Sure, I'll make you a scarf. And then you're knitting for an eternity. This one works up relatively quickly for a scarf. We're using 6.5mm needles, and this is a chunky 12-ply yarn. It's the same yarn that I used to make the grungy beanie. I'll link that somewhere, probably. This is Southlander from Skeins, and it's the 12-ply version, and I think it's in Lake something. Lake Tekapo, maybe that's the colour? I feel like that's the colour. So it is a larger needle than is recommended for the yarn, but the way the rib pattern works, it works quite well having a larger needle and a little bit of a more looser gauge. So you're going to need 6.5mm needles. You're going to need around 300 grams of yarn. For me, that was about a ball and a half, because this yarn comes in 200-gram balls. And we're just going to get going. Right, so we're going to start by casting on 43 stitches. I'm using the 6.5mm needles and a 12-ply bulky yarn. And we're going to do this broken rib stitch, which is knit 3, purl 1, repeat to the end the last 3 stitches, then knit the last 3. Then on the alternate row, it's knit 1, purl 1, then you do the knit 3, purl 1. So you'll until you get to the last stitch, and then you go knit it. That's going to give you these ridges, and it's kind of a deep rib. So this deep rib stitch that we've got, you're going to do for around about 30 centimetres to 40 centimetres, just enough to get enough length before we split and put in the gap in the scarf. So they're nice, luxurious, deep ridges. I find it's a really comfortable pattern, and it works up relatively quickly, particularly on these big needles. So once we do get to our 30 or 40 centimetre section, we're going to knit 21 stitches, and then we're going to deal with the middle stitch on our row. Okay, so we're here, so we're going to knit to the front and to the back of the stitch, but we actually want to leave part of the stitch behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit into the front of the stitch now, and then leave the stitch here, so that I'll knit it again when I do the other half. I'm hoping it'll all make sense in just a moment. Okay, so we're going to knit into the front of the stitch, but we're just going to leave this here. So it's going to be slightly awkward for the moment. Turn everything around, and now we're going to come back. Now when we come back, we're just going to get our pattern from this back side. So in this case, we're going to start with a purl stitch, knit 3, purl, knit 3, purl, knit 3, all the way across. This bit here is going to pull tightly for a wee while, but don't worry, it's going to be fine. We can just put all of these on hold, which I might do, just to show you that you can. But you don't have to. If you're comfortable enough with just leaving them there, having one side grow and the other side not grow, you can just leave them. Or we can put all these on hold and just work these. It's completely up to you, but we're going to do the 2 sides. Right, I've put them on hold so that you can see that this stitch here is still incomplete, for lack of a better description, but we've got 2 stitches coming out of this main one in the middle. Now, it's not going to show that it's slightly bigger because it's going to want to gag a little bit there anyway, so it pays to have a bit more fabric in this moment, just for the final scarf. But let's just carry on from this side for a little while so that you can see what I mean. Oh, we're all tangled now that I've turned everything around. So we're just going to continue. Purl. 1, 2, 3. Yep, I'm just going to finish off that row, and then we're going to continue up with this. Right, so what we've got here is 30 rows done on just this side, and now we're going to pick up this side here and do 30 rows and meet up at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide these onto this needle, and then put my little clippy thing up on these stitches here and put them on hold until I've knit up to here. Right, so we've got these the same length now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to follow the pattern all the way across to this last stitch here and this first stitch over here, and we're going to purl these 2 together because we're on the back side of this piece now. So these 2 stitches here are going to be purled together. So I'll work across, get to there, and then I'll show you what we're doing. Right, so these stitches are now on this needle. Here's the stitch that we slipped over to this one before. I've just put it back over here so that we can purl these 2 together. And now I'm just going to continue the row. Now this just means that we're now back to the original number of stitches, and there's a slight overlap in our little gap. Doesn't make a huge difference, but I feel like it also just makes this a little bit more secure at both ends of our gap. Alright, here we are. Now everything just carries on as if it's a normal scarf. We're just going to keep knitting until we've got the length that we want. I'll give you some couple of updates along the way, but mostly let's just carry on the pattern until we get to the end. Now all that remains is to actually just keep knitting on it. Now I found that just putting the scarf next to my bed at night meant that I could just knit a few rows at night, knit a few rows in the morning, because it's amazing how many rows you need to do to get through a scarf. I ended up using about 1.5 balls of this yarn, which worked out to be about 300 grams. You could use less, you could use more. I would recommend having about 300 grams on hand. If you want a longer scarf, definitely go with more like 400 grams. Most balls are about 50 grams, but the balls of wool that I've got are 200 gram balls. They are chunky, meaty balls. Here I am working outside, looking around, thinking I'm cool, and getting towards the end of the scarf. Now when we do get to the end of the scarf, we're going to cast off, but we're going to cast off in patterns. So if it's a knit stitch, knit it. If it's a purl stitch, purl it, so that you keep that pattern going. And then we're just going to darn in all these ends. There's going to be a few of them, but it doesn't take too long, and then everything's complete. So, I mean, hopefully you enjoyed knitting the scarf and darning in your ends, and now you've got a scarf you can be wearing yourself or giving away. It looks really cool. It works up really quickly. And there is going to be a hat that's released shortly. She says released shortly as though she's actually made it already. She hasn't made it already. It's just written down. Oh, Mittens is watching me. I'm being watched by a sheep who wants snacks. She's very pregnant and very hungry, or just needy for a head scratch more than anything else. So the hat version of this still hasn't made it off the needles, but it's in process. And I needed to finish this first before I work on the hat. So that's going to be the next thing. It's a broken rib. You thoroughly enjoyed it. It makes a great scarf. It's a great scarf for Father's Day. this may or may not be what the scarf is for. It's a great scarf for just giving to anybody, a winter scarf, a scarf that for the man who has everything and is really difficult to knit and crochet for, to be completely honest. I will link the pattern down below. It's completely free and I hope you enjoy making it. If you are interested in watching some of my other videos, I might put my link to another Father's Day type gift up here, because we've got Father's Day here in New Zealand in about a week as of filming this. It's going up well after Father's Day, I can tell you that right now. But it's going to be up before Father's Day in America by months. And down here we're going to have a playlist of other knitting projects potentially. And if you wish to hang around and see what happens with this cool winter's day, you can hit subscribe up there in the corner. If you heard some footsteps, those were Rocky. I will catch you next week. Bye.